야게보 너의 너의 집에라 너의 집에게 너와 당당지엔 제메 번트 주버라 제바 당지제솔 시대 마남가 당년배 샘제 당지 대화 당대 동아라 당지에 녀들 나나메바 영도 불의 도배 창조는 볼지 도불의 저의 도가의 당을 지배라 안노불의 지배게 들과 당담진 전배 본드 주불의 지배 담지 소의 남가 당연배 선천 담지의 대화 당진 동아라
Lot of sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. 가와 독성은 소데스가 대박 올라데라.
这样什么的，帕林出林，因为咱们那些东西是从网上专注，
really? 안개 가지래?
这点是吧？
그,
좋아요.
좁,
대박, 좋아.
좁아들어.
응,
음,
응. 빨리 풀린 사람들 몇세 번째 총책해서 봐.
음, 그, corsa 주는
그만 남았어. 저 같아. 이만.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
그다음 그
Mm-hmm.
좋아하는 거도 있어.
Yeah. 그럼 나 already. Okay.
真的，那帕林处理情况，因为让就那些东西从网络上的做这个嘛，那实在咱怕这因为你妈的说这语言，但你妈的这就从那多么说，那也一点点啊，多么说的。他们是做大情况，听把听跟我说嘛，那就他就讲他在这个现在参加这大学的考官这当时推出从嘛他来做，所以说那些啊，都是从嘛推出说。但是他就强的，那些东西，现在在那个在开发的当大家在打，其实偏多些了，有的用的偏多的，偏多，没得好像忙的强的噻。我这有点那些东西从啊，我这上头当那这年来起啊，在专注不蛮大过的是。
Mhm. So now we are still on the last verse here of those 10 things to encourage yourself. So the last verse was reflecting upon the ease with which one can squander away this life in distraction, wandering here and there. Encourage yourself to be diligent. So we spend a lot of our time in a day just really doing meaningless things. We go here, we go there, we spend some time looking at the internet, making phone calls. And then, just like that, without us even realizing it, time just slips away and each day passes. And actually, all of these activities, these things of playing around on the internet and chatting and so on, all of this ultimately doesn't is not very meaningful. There's not much benefit in that, but our life gets used up by it. And so that is why we have to remind ourselves and encourage ourselves to get back to practice with diligence.
真的他可能那是多对于那头发那的、三百那的、五百那的，这说他专注过的是，专注我呢，真的让人提头的。那专注什么？那真让人头的，我提纲专注起头，其他专注其他专门了，有了他这个专注专门了，我专注是的，那个都压起来，专注起来了，压起来。那我说他在头上、头发、五百两面起来，提纲，这专注起过去的是。这三家那天说我的是，他讲老家这边对这人，他们老好情况，这对这人嘛，对这伤心的那的，伤心的那研究的意思，这个进去，心理前面这个初衷的，这心理课嘛，是特别想到现在那时候。参加的是这某些从体育课这某些个，这大体检这大的，就是说做回来全有嘛，因为你嘛那这有嘛，那肯定那他就来查掉的，这个是心理。对，是的，新竹这吃完挺嘛的，我这吃完挺嘛，他就掐这就行了。我这个，这个这上这个特别人体，我这个上那个别毛毛他就掐着了，他这个没事谁帮我说，我这他就这个那，他没事谁上，出去嘛都是，我这个刚刚说这没事的，他那嘛的嘛是没事的，在宁波呢，从康图做的两年的。头发的、文化的、两年的这说这些，他没有让人在从有个是其中，这偏多来是那个样子，他这个是就说偏多来的，那他就这所说的那个对吧？他都上街投票，这些呢这是偏多的，他就其中呢，这说就其中呢偏多的那种多。
So, in brief, of whatever we do, be it listening to the teachings or reflecting or meditating, we need diligence to do those practices. If you have diligence, then you can do practice. If you are not diligent, then you won't do it. And there are all kinds of different kinds of diligence. People are diligent in different things. Some people are also diligent doing very bad things. But here, diligence in the Dharma, it means being diligent and enthusiastic while engaging in virtuous activity. So that's the kind of diligence we want to have. There's a quote by Sakya Pandita, and so he said that we are constantly distracted in a hustle and bustle of life, and so too many distractions arise one after the other, like links in a chain endlessly. And so, for example, when we think about it, often we just happen to look at our phone and in the internet, and then we see something, and then we begin scrolling, and then something catches our eye, and then we keep scrolling, and then there's something else that catches our attention, and it just keeps going and going, and before we know it, we are pulled into this endless chain of distractions, and we don't even know it, how time just passes, and we don't even feel it. And by doing that, we lose the true essence of this life. Now we have a precious human life. We should make it meaningful. If we do, no, even if we do worldly things, if you do some worldly activity, then it should be something that benefits society, that benefits others. Whatever you do should at least add some value, some meaning to yourself and others, in a temporary sense and also in an ultimate sense of leading to enlightenment. And so this is where we should apply our diligence. So
我真的怕他把上去送给是，因为狼呢，对吧？前面确实，但是因为狼呢，人一从绿狼，他在前第一群对嘛呢，前面对吧？对呀，这时候对嘛的，他是前些年狼推出状态是。他马上吧，出差才休息，听着吧，但听着解释呢，出差他才来就不是，说娘娘去啊，老他是近的，他娘娘去过蛮的，咱们是同样有关系，他他是有关系，听着吧，听着现在世界这边有是来了，听着老嘛是，他把是这种是吧？
then there was a quote by Padamba Sangha, and he spoke to the people of Tingri, and they said that so because of distraction, you lose all purpose of this life and of all future lives, wasting your time away in idleness. Your life exhausts itself. Now is the time to bring an end to it. So that the time to cut through it is right now. Bring an end to it and practice with diligence. Encourage yourself to practice.
真的，他这期真的他挺久该可的是呢，他是确认求救。两天起啊，就是从啥去，真确认就是确认真跑，可是从大了确实呢。
Then next we move on to the next set of 10, and that is the 10 ways of going astray.
我真的是特别穷了，写了钱呢，可提前就问，我当特别穷起，写了我是进步呢，这看也要进步干，碰到可能上手术局去了呢，这去了这正常的。现在就。你马上知道，有的长期训练的给不讲了，这个是给我们有干嘛就是，这都重要不是吧？但是长期训练的讲，小成就有学啥的，这长期讲，但是呢，人你不希望都是个下面这个需求是，真的，其实你谁看都是，我很多吧，我说啥，甚至呢，我很多吧，方式都也都是，其实他妈多的，其实这样讲都是，那就干嘛在电过呀，那都是，特别是那是吧？我这特别有，我其他没有看。我真的可以点就完，因此他可以啊，提过去过的是，所以确实其他的在托吧上班我们可以呢，所以有的是家头大过去了，他马家了，去卡可是一呢，卡可是 但那时候是个蛮懂的，走到个网上说，那时候蛮懂的，蛮你头大还有一些嘛，但那时候开始找我们这个忙那边呢，你说那时候去忙那边呢，不懂我的，你嘛，他从大还是英国出嘛，哇。
Um, then, so the first verse is when your faith is feeble, but your intelligence sharp, you can stray into being a propagator of platitudes. So that is referring to someone who has some faith, but faith or devotion is not very strong. But they have great intelligence, and they may stray basically into being a mere talker. And so that was also one example from a time of when the Buddha was alive. When the Buddha was alive, he had a relative that who was highly educated, and this relative followed the Buddha to attend him for some time. But because this relative was so educated, he used to think to himself that, and he also would say that I actually know everything much better than the Buddha does. What's so special about him? So the one thing that he could find special about him is that the Buddha has this luminous, this kind of luminous light around him. So that's maybe a bit unique. But beyond that, what does he have? And so that's an example of someone with a great intelligence, great learning, but no faith. And so when we practice the Dharma has to really take root in our mind, whether you are hearing or reflecting or meditating, you have to apply it to your mind. And just repeating it with the mouth is not enough. For example, a parrot can say, "Om Mani Padme Hum." So those words come out of the parrot's mouth, but the parrot does not understand what any of it means at all. So if we have no faith and we just speak the Dharma, we are just like this parrot.
我真的在车把是这趟车把是车把汤面车把是但是那么个确实是的，汤完钱真的车把这样。可能多别车把是真的是在说说长真多别车把嘛的是是在说说年前中在但是那么的那他就这个年来那年前中这说说多把在消费之前车把这样了，然后在咱说说就把那在特别前车把这样了，我特别前的车把这。但是一切被推翻是，那那么的常见那的我晓得，他说的一切皆被推翻，他推翻也说是一切被推翻，现在这就两天好过，推了一切件，真推翻件，推翻点不了，我推翻是成立了是会说啥的。
Um, and so there are three kinds of faith that we should develop. There is the clear faith, the yearning faith, and the trusting faith. And the clear faith is when we develop faith, we are inspired by the qualities of the guru or and the three jewels. So the mind feels clear when you see their qualities. Then there's the yearning faith, and that is when you yearn to be just like them, like the guru, or you have a yearning. You develop a special kind of affinity, kind of a connection with the lineage and so on. So you have a deep wish to connect in some way. And then the trusting faith, that is when you are fully convinced, you're fully confident that in the qualities of the guru and the three jewels. You have this unwavering confidence. You fully trust, and that is this kind of faith. That is the best faith. That is the most stable faith.
我这就是们那里边这种是吧？菜去不被东巴人菜不菜去的菜，毛个写的，他不成哪家是不会也可以，菜不被东巴人吃。我今天在那个老对长板老了，但老对左对长板做错了事，左对长板做错了，但说在就在市场上做板大，把弄大的两千看来说点具体做的事，左对长板做错了事，这对老对这边老了，给家在拉，就是在情况那在就在这地方做那边去呢， 那见面弄错，这嘛是见面弄错是吧？说提给下来了，现在
Paranangzin, this ko.
见面了吧？这嘛是那个见面在弄错，老师在
Yemen long zawo.
我弄错这个有点还是我提出给下来，提出起来这边老了去。
Mm.
Gay for ça tellement, c'est gay for ça tombe sur la mambo, c'est qui est là, le ci. Ma rodu me tient dans l'eau, si rodu me tient dans l'eau, c'est encore un mambo ci, chasse, c'est già mangiare ci, ci può si doris. Et du gay for ça tellement, c'est gay for ça tellement, c'est malade les endroits. 我这里在当然所看的是呢，他希腊国给的，台湾国给的，天津给国给的是啊。这有这名的历史感有也有就赛。
Milarepa said once that as the one who just collects many words and teachings may just swell up with pride. But then if those words are not applied and it becomes a cause of one's downfall. So he warned about those who just talk about the Dharma practice, about Dharma, but they don't actually practice it. So he said that some say that they have diligence, but it's kind of a diligence of a fraudster. They can talk about the Dharma, about effort and so on, but inside it's just hollow. And he said that that these people can be compared to like a hysterical woman, a bit kind of out of control and a bit chaotic. And so when such a person may just walk around bringing a lot of entourage and attendance with them and be quite impressive. But Milarepa said that these are like sort of people that also attract many obstructors, like obstacle makers. So those obstacle makers gather around them. And so therefore we do need, of course, we also need intelligence, we need wisdom, but faith is just as important. So we need both. We need wisdom and faith. If one is lacking, then there will be difficulty.
我真的咱你把这去，真的你把这这马达斯我才考上几把从哪才可特别去了，希腊穷呢，都是阿些生出来的，是啊。대박치고 싫어하는 거 뭐냐 되게 식 말했어. 사실 말이 어서 오자가 어서 luc세선 어서 올라. 어서 야 시스나 싫어했어. 앞에는 보러 차를 그랬어. 그 냐면서 처음에 시켜 봐봐. 그 맛이 유지네. 와서 쏟아 싫어할 보기로 했어. 근데 아티스트 출발이 있어. 근데 내 말은 지야 너무 들으세요. 지금 다시 되게 좋아하는 거래. 스티나.
And the next verse says, when your faith is strong, but your intelligence weak, you can stray into close-minded stubbornness. And so now this is saying that we also need to have wisdom. Now we need our intelligence. If we just have faith and no intelligence at all, then we will not really know how to practice. We won't really understand the teachings and we won't know how to practice correctly. And then if we don't know how to practice correctly, don't know what exactly to do, then we are also lost. And so therefore we also do need some intelligence and in order to know how to practice. So both are needed.
我当时读册是可能是那秋那个的我们写过去，我秋那个写希腊同学中类似，真的他叫我们写过去，但特别清楚这些六个人讲这个去，这六个人在讲这个去，我们那个是要我们写呢，真的要求嘛的是在国内的是个说可惜钱了这有嘛是，但就这种我是中的的六样的住的抗中的样子，哪怕上去给讲嘛的是，나만 선제 카레 샘son 두고래 샘두야티 싫어 그러거든. 我真想什么我在讲了，要不讲嘛喜欢，其实不是讲的，真的，天马戏吧，那他们都是去的，不说讲的，真的，今年的是那个天我是去图呀，给没法提我嘛的是。
So the key point is that and so that we don't, if we have no intelligence, then we won't really understand the Dharma. So we don't know we don't know the essential points of the Dharma practice, and therefore we wander without ever finding the path, and um, then it's of no benefit, even if you put your body through a lot of hardships, and even if you're very diligent physically, you endure all of these hardships physically. That's of no benefit if you don't really apply it in your mind. Jigten Sumgön had said that just engaging in outer hardships, such as secluding yourself to mountain hermitages, that alone doesn't make you a Buddhist. Because Buddhists focus on the inside. As Buddhists, we focus on taming our own mind with wisdom, and taming our own mind. Then we sustain the nature of the mind, and that's really the essence of Buddhist practice. And if we don't do that, no matter how many hardships we put ourselves through, there is no real power in it.
근데 다 아티스트도 아티스트 지금까지 쇼탐지 연방마로가 도야 시라 그래서 유니바시다 지금 유가 쇼는 그래서 송그래서 와한테 뭐를 없어서 동반이나 딸이나 시라 총을 통하죠. 동반에 따라서 노는 시라 총도 통도 그래. 이 정도가 되게 밀당만 좀 가지고 그러잖아.这铁巴不是，希腊不是，前几个他做就是什么不是，我是说你刚刚说，这两年前他说什么什么不是，也是。
Um, so So without intelligence and mere faith, we will not truly understand, we will not be able to realize the true nature of phenomenon, that is, that phenomenon lack an inherent existence. So one will not realize the true nature of things. And also Nagarjuna had said that if emptiness is then misunderstood, those of little wisdom will be ruined. It is like clinging to a snake in the wrong way, or grasping or misusing powerful mantras, or kind of grasping at mantras incorrectly. So when we practice with diligence, what this needs is faith, but also wisdom or intelligence.
真的，当时准备的去想呢，真的，你有钱了，当嘛，你呢，正好，可是求外的一种多。但个你有钱不表的，但你有别没事要不，你有退要不表的，天呐，这当嘛在两面前好举办了，在当嘛在要不没，说落堂上面当嘛是没呢，当地在可是在求着个的，可是真的蛮忙着呀，这个。中文老汤，然后呢，菩萨求出来了，才用个的是。
Then we come to the next verse, number 3. When your perseverance is great, but you lack the oral instructions, you can stray into mistakes and pitfalls. So if even if you have strong effort, but you lack the essential instructions, then still that will lead you astray. So that is some people, they have a lot of determination. They're very determined, and still, if they have not received proper instructions that these which are suited to their individual capacity, then they can easily go astray. So no matter how strong one's effort is, if there is no guidance from a qualified spiritual teacher, then one is very likely to stray into like an erroneous path, into making mistakes.
我这样就真的，当然说的，当嘛是说要不会说的，也是几岁没来的中国还是生活是呢，那个什么没些，早就去讲了都有，那个是两年前当时要不嘛些，那个是当嘛是谁当代把什么，但早就去了，主要是两年他起码是，冲突嘛的是要不现在现在就，或者那边当嘛，我但是가장 출발했고 달라마다 냠냠시 가장 출발했고 가장 기분 냠냠 못 토이 좀 그렇다 제가 좀 공책 나요 가장 기분 냠냠 못 토이 가장 게 손들 거 얘만 뒤져를 가라 뒤스 또 스마라 좀 이마디 나 저를 가라 또 가는 데스라 또 많이 그래 세마디 이마 我这是从这里的，我这两年是要不然出多是出两千出多是三两片，是吧？这出两件是说，两年出多两千呢，两千出多是三两片，从我这三片给的，从我吧，
Milarepa.
那
So we need to receive these essential instructions from a qualified guru. And Milarepa had said that without knowing the key essential points, your diligence will lead you astray, meaning that your diligence will not bring you to perfection. It will not make you can be diligent, but it will not lead you to fulfillment or the mastering of your practice. In order to reach the furthest limit of your practice, you need the instructions from a guru, and these instructions must be in accord with the actual words of the Buddha. Lord Thich Sumgön had said that whatever you practice must agree with the Buddha's words. If a practice doesn't agree with the Buddha's word, it is not an authentic practice. And Milarepa said the same thing. He said that any practice must be in accord with the words of the Buddha. And so, meaning that we need to rely on a companion, a spiritual companion, and who has the ability to benefit us through instructions.
这体育可能当然是当嘛是要不过去的，是吧？这女的，两年前那是偏多去了，中国的，这期，样子那。
So in brief, we need good instructions, and then in order to actually put them into practice, because only then the practice will be of benefit.
我真的当天就希望这我的头上就撞到往前呢，我们没进去就确认中国。我真当我头上头发起上把起，我听说多他出发起过来是么钱呢？我们没去进去就确认，我们这是这我明白，在但是。电器山最现在从一个从他们老师建筑给上天的然后从不差了吧？从一个电器为一大说，这是全国的做是什么来研究的？是。
So maybe come the learn.
从一看这些为现在那个玩生活电器为从不差的。那他这里这当说两年前要我写过去的，但是他长嘛在别家长嘛写的，这个人看过的是。我这两年前我就是没来的去中游的，现在他了确定的，和这边人过东西中什么问题，他现在他了确定也有嘛的事，对对，他对他的对你嘛的，所以这边人过东中这边人过这样子，他这边两年前写过什么，他别些长嘛讲，他写的他确定了，不要嘛的是中什么问题，我是说，那这种呢，这别些的讲起就好像说陆江去这个是第十来斤，然后现在就是没得工业区。공천 대도를 해와라. 공천 한도를 청지 토스. 공천 대도是国家对连是可以这样吧，这是国家出来的，给这把钱意思。你那就他就什么什么东西，公钱很多是很多是对的，那行什么会， 되는 샤오링 간도 사这对我来说两年起过的，什么在里面推理嘛，什么在通通的，这样两年这样追过的，才起过去了。那两年是其他在他图上这个第七年，在中国说就我的那种是。
Oops, that's then, yeah, verse number 4. When you don't first dispel misconceptions through hearing and contemplation, your meditation can stray into being a source of ignorance. So we also need to study. We do need to study and reflect to a certain degree. Otherwise, we may also go astray with a lack of understanding. And it is said that if we do not really understand and just practice meditation, so we will wander in the darkness of meditation. It's really what it says. So the meditation can stray into being a source of ignorance. So that is, if we just meditate and we don't learn anything, then it is that one may be born in the formless realms, but not go any further. And so, however, when it comes to studying and learning the teachings, of course, we need to know them, but also knowing all the texts is quite impossible. And practice is really essential, after all. And Milarepa also said that Marpa told him that there is no end to learning. And in these degenerate times, it is better to focus on practice because mastering all the texts is simply impossible. There's also a story of Milarepa and Rejungba. So Rejungba also initially was interested in studying more texts, and he traveled all the way to India to get texts. But Milarepa told him that what is my hope in you lies in you becoming a great meditator. But instead, you are wandering here and there, and your shoes are already worn through. And time is short, life is short. Now is the time to practice. So while study and reflection are important, we also must not get lost in endless learning. And we have to also put them into practice because life is short.
我真的，那如果真的是两年前当时那个写过，别想到泡沫书啊，他泡沫书啊是设计美个哇，在古朗美都理解不了个哇，都理解不了个，他给先看吧了，到起码开发的多一下，
Oggi che opportunità
泡沫书也没的，可能没。
Oh,
泡沫书设计美个哇，这设计美个就那个，
oh,
晓得古朗美我呢这都理解不了哇，
oh.
特别可以他不能不这种可以是给先看吧，这种给先看吧，可能朋友看吧的话，晓得别想开发学啥，那给先看吧是。 晓得那泡沫出啊，全部各单把陆中去呗，陆中忙不起有啥的，陆中去把来讲陆中去过去，这陆中开发就巧啥哇？我这去真的撒家了从多，我撒家了从撒家了陆中去，做上工中去，我们两年去这去有啥的晓得？泡沫出啊，可能是没当通常不对嘛，通常都涨，这撒家了嘛，这4000多4500有个7000的。 我这实践了学有啥？我给他讲了，通常得把通路送我啥吧？我晓得，这就在去这去这泡沫是吧？他或者不去，这就给他的第一次有啥？3年了，第一次有啥的？3年了，起步有啥的？泡沫车上次拿送啊，他不能3年了，起步啥？这里但不让泡沫车，我喜欢这块，他不能今年就做修啥吧？我今年他不能不在今年做，看这个都最大个都上这送的吧？ 他不能不去啊，这有啥的？这我们真的，咱通常对吧？通常这学有啥吧？这看这个的，这他不能不去帮人家抽到的是有啥的？抽到是的，这咱通常对吧？那这是我他不能去。这他就去，但是你他就给下去，这推本上他不能不接有啥？这他不能不接的，这他不能不把那么在筛选啥？把好像说，把是筛的有啥？把筛选的真的，这光通常对比光给钱穷我啥的。 这通常对吧？像通常对吧？这里没把那个给的，是把出去的有啥哇？ 자, 그래 너무 좋았어요. 너무 내가 괜찮아지고 나서면서 생각 this 차서 그래 다 보는 거지. 당황을 this now 당황해서 나 다시 사실 생각에 발생 원초서 대공원에서 대공원 그게 되는 공연만 양용으로 돼 있어. 양용도 괜찮아. 양용도 다 나는 소차도 지금 봐. 뭐서 대차는 거 같은데. 아, 방주에 다 저래는 방주에 다 보는 거 차서 와서 들을 차서 다 보는 통초가 백해봐요. 그래서 서로 생각도 양양 내가 시계로 내가 상황 몇 시에 와 저를 시장 안도 있어 라 다시 송송
다시 송대
다시 송송 내가 상황 저를 시장 안도 송송 내가自己是说话差不多过去了，不过呢，那个我从这个上吧。
So we do, the main point of the Dharma is really to actually practice it. There was a story about Pamo Drupa. So his real name was actually Dorje Gyalpo, and Pamo Drupa actually that name came from the region where he was from.
这嘛，我原来是在这泡沫出来，私下这个在罗马用当时他对吧？天天私下面泡沫出来了，泡沫。
Yeah, so the place where he actually spent most of his time practicing, what is it? It's called Pamodrupa? What's the place? Yeah, so basically Pamodrupa comes from that place, and that's where he practiced. Well, Pamodrupa is really like more the place where he came from, but his original name is Dorje Gyalpo. And so early on, Pamodrupa, he was he was a great scholar. He was very learned, and he learned from in the Kadampa tradition. He studied extensively and became a great scholar. And later he went to Sakya, and he received more teachings there, and he practiced there. And there, as he was meditating and practicing there, he thought that he had attained the path of seeing, so seeing emptiness. And that is because actually this Sakya teacher who had told him that he said you have seen the path of seeing. So then he was convinced that he had attained the path of seeing. And so during that time, he also heard of Gampopa, who was already quite a bit famous at that time. And he lived in central Tibet. So he heard about Gampopa, and Pamodrupa had a friend who planned to go there and meet Gampopa. And so Pamodrupa then decided to go along just to see what kind of Lama Gampopa was. And so he went with his friend to central Tibet to meet Gampopa. And when they met, they had some discussion about Pamodrupa's background. And so Pamodrupa straight out said, I have attained the path of seeing. And then Gampopa said, oh, so how is it? And then the Pamodrupa then shared some of his experiences, and they had some discussion. But Gampopa had some doubts about whether he really attained the path of seeing. And so then Gampopa was just eating some tsampa at that time, and he had this ball of tsampa dough, and so he handed that over to Pamodrupa and said, my piece of tsampa is better than your path of seeing. And when he said that, Pamodrupa felt a little bit uncomfortable. However, he stayed and he received his teachings. So then Gampopa gave him some teachings and advised him not to stay at that Sakya place, but to go elsewhere and to meditate. And so then he left and he meditated elsewhere as Gampopa advised. And then he eventually purified these experiences. So what he had that he thought was the path of seeing was a meditative experience. And he purified that experience through his practice. And as a result, he then directly realized Mahamudra and became one of Gampopa's greatest disciples. And so he was a real scholar, but this story shows that without practice, the scholarship alone doesn't lead anywhere. And just as Miller Rebbe said before, without knowing the key point, your diligence will just lead you astray. So it's not enough to just practice really hard. We have to understand the key points. Otherwise, we will go astray in our practice.
我在那情况下，泡沫出来，他或者我们接下去，我们讲啥子？实际的出路实际的蛮大。因为实际。
Sakya kompa. Sakya sacha.
实际就当实际有那种，别讲人肉就是提纲他来从的，但是全部就是提纲从我们就说这种面的实际啦，这样这样这些听过的做出呢，出路。
Mare di sakya saya di tadi ko tingun lah ko kom jara.
他泡沫出来，他或者我们接啥呢
？Mare tingun lah sakya lah ngoba.
对，我那他的。
Di chela sakya lah me.
哎。
Sakya kemba lah songin lan.
这边把这个拍了，这个叫做什么？这多搞笑啊
！Tinga, takarang lan.
这里头的，我其真的，当时有真的，那是在那个提过的是啊，说真的，当时在看的是呢，老外在里头，老外在看的什么？和他说嘛，两嘛，今天这部全球看的全外意思，可多说嘛是呢，可多是吧，说嘛是那是吧话。Servas, ta nyamna ne ka servas so nyamna majina. Ta nyamna majiba chi zai de xia jiang zang ka chi cai de su zai de xie na. 全部的贴吧唐呢研究家人民呢，贴吧唐呢研究一切科研民呢，真的全部的，他这些全球看说，在全球看，真确实，他说的，偏多少有嘛？我这里真确实个的是。
And moving on to verse number 5, when you don't bring a fresh understanding into the realm of experience, you can stray into being an insensitive spiritual expert. So if without applying what you have understood through practice, one just becomes like a fool who repeats what one has heard. So what we have learned is also something that we need to put into practice. And so this term here, fresh, you don't bring a fresh understanding. If you just repeat what you've heard, you don't bring a fresh insight. And so the fresh insight is basically something that you directly understand yourself. And so such a person may speak loftily, but have no faith, have no pure view, have no pure perception. Then this sort of dharma will not bring any benefit. So it becomes just knowledge.
我真的大家应该做初上前的课外的是你，我真的没在没俺们那么多话，真的是没俺们那。我是两对这个在那路头的是我可能是两年是两上去，两年前两套有个住的是两年去过的是，他买地的那时候还有在看月啊，这个西瓜前两年就比较买钱了，但全部没得是那时候后边是，那后边是那个他们嘛是送我啥的，以前出可能就是他们这个讲七八十那出嘛。以前出去的是，这个情况是900件出去的是，没这个情况是。我出去的是，全部出去没去，但全部我这从来出去考上了，出去考上的他出去嘛的，是他出去考上他就在这里呢，他是咱们就对吧？嘛，当然有了。
第卡的人，
出
的
啊，刚刚没听懂。
对，因为的这个你把卡的送上，
出去没得事。
的卡的能是的。
出去送的他在出在别家大那里是写的吧？这写的呢，他贴吧的，他往研究可能有嘛提出来。那下次旅行啊，上这里对的，那个这出去嘛，这是出，没这个是我们出去的噻，这讲出去是哪种？我这里他全部弄就是在过程在全部是这弄可是穷了，他推出嘛，去哪修？啊，这里干部下送的，弄过呢。 패도시라 말씀 나도 고서 그거 바빠서 일이 보는데 손이 보서 이마다 들어오는 함으로 소야 제기만 고 바빠티 바빠이는 들어 그냥 그런데 보이는 함고 그냥 제기로 와서 지금 너무 되니에게 와서 일이 너무 내는데 무거 야도 좋창 거로 어떤 시장 말했을 때 처음 들으라 되게랬어 마르코 말 미투스 마르코 그냥 하고 와 주고 보려고 와 마르코 바빠지 놓아야 마르코 초반에 놓아
하라고?
마르코야 초반에 일단 거기 어떤 좀 너무 그래서 날고 튀들이 맞니 뭐 셔야 말스 통일 맞잖아 아
Di thama dikhare, maar dikhare.
말 콜 말도
Uh,
대 말도 유는 뭐냐 그 요잖아 대
oh,
초반 넘어다这开心过了讲的话
uh-huh,
我这너무 그래서 전화 투야 너무 여러 가지
uh-huh,
我这哪变成哪里的事？这就咋的？这推的人嘛？哦，那讲说章呢？那是工地建筑说，这哪也是？讲说这样的，去嘛东的，看我们些什么嘛也是。我这哪里的？两两嘛的，那确有的，两两嘛的，变成哪里的？也是中国。
mhm. Um, and so like after having heard the teachings and having gained some understanding and received instructions, then we have to put them into practice. Otherwise, if we don't practice and just keep talking about it, we will go astray. The Kadamba masters, they said that even a great sinner can be tamed by the Dharma, but a Dharma fool, so that's someone who knows but doesn't apply anything, cannot be tamed. So even a sinner can be tamed, but a Dharma fool cannot be tamed. It's because they do not have faith or a pure view, and so they may hear the teachings and then they will just say, yeah, that's how it is, but it never really actually reaches them, so it's hard to tame them. And they said it's like a kind of a stiff kind of leather, a stiff piece of leather can be softened by oil, by kind of like grease or butter. So this is like kind of a clumsy kind of person, a kind of a sinful person, a sinful person can still be tamed when the Dharma when applied. So when you apply the oil on the leather or on your shoes, it can soften them. But then a person like a Dharma fool who just sits there and doesn't actually use the Dharma. For them, it's like the butter or the oil is there, but it does not actually touch the leather, so it won't help anything. It will just stay stiff. And in the same way, for example, if you may live by a sea, by the water, but if you don't drink from it, then you'll still die of thirst. So the point is that the Dharma has to be applied. It cannot just be kept as something we know.
再说呢，
Also,
真그런 거지. 그래서 그래서 추마 추디 체를 포함해서 추마 추게 상황보다 추초 냠내 대바 당황에 용나 손에 봐서 그것도 돼야요 말이었어. 담세 소유 집에 처음에 담세 소아 다 담세 저기에서 담세 전에 보이나 마다 다시 저기에서 들으치 되냐서나 처음으로 정도
then Guru Rinpoche had said that, and don't rely on those who carry the Dharma foolishly. That is basically those who lack faith and a pure view and an inner discipline, and who samaya lightly. For example, they say, "Oh, this is just not a big deal, or it's not really serious," and so on. Those who only like imitate, recite, and deceive others. So such people cannot be trusted on the path.
真的啥才就去可能啥是，这两面走上去在秋地马学的嘛，从两面也不经过的那种是吧？
So having therefore, in essence, having received the instructions and gained some understanding, then this understanding has to be put into practice right away.
真的他人家全部的老嘛讲让体感面吧，好吧，去吧，因为是他出个是吧？真的他人家也全部老讲，他不对，就他这种他强吧是人家是，这但是这强调是目的对的，他这个东西，人家全部是老嘛讲了，真这方面或那个也是，真今天中午送了的，特别其中些把身体一种，但今天中午送了的。这个当恐怕都中了噻，就说这种个，俺说好看现在去，俺说好看下这有的，好看么长嘛子了，那既然是就因为什么长嘛挺不清楚那个是哪出这个，但今天从那挺不清楚去把身体这强调想证明呢，真的那伙计那偏多了，这伙计的那偏多了什么来着？
Oh.
今天从文化提了。这个这趟今天从我多这样子的，我今天是留言的，这们上面听个情况来的，这但强调是没意思的，这我们上面身体有没好回来要嘛了吧？这对，今天从我听个情况身体意识，先把身体一种了，这然后这他理解情况，我们那基本没办法，基本没办法，这身体穷的啥的，做我这狼也上这个，狼这个上也上这身体他妈多。现在什么其他大学生嘛的，这现在什么我这长学生是一个我说这有没人这个情况是有这个那种的吧
We come to verse number 6. When you don't train your mind in great compassion, the method aspect, your path can stray into that of the lesser vehicles. And so if one doesn't train in love and compassion, so from love and compassion arises bodhicitta. And if one doesn't train in that, then one will stray into the lesser vehicle, because love and compassion, they are at the heart of Mahayana. Tuden Somgön had said that the difference between the vehicles lies in the generation of mind or the motivation. And in Tibet, we often say that the Tibetans are those to be tamed by Chenrezig, and they are of the Mahayana kind. But actually, it is also not so certain whether it's not that just because someone may be born in Tibet doesn't necessarily make you a bodhisattva. If they never give rise to bodhicitta, just because, just calling someone a Mahayana because they're born in that place without having given rise to bodhicitta is of no benefit at all. So the vehicle, or the Mahayana, the great vehicle, depends on whether this mind of bodhicitta arises. And love and compassion are the method, the skillful means for bodhicitta to arise. And if love and compassion do not arise, and this method is not cultivated, then one may go astray onto a lesser path. And so what we call lesser path here is a state of mind that is limited, small in scope. It is a mind that is only focused on one's own liberation and doesn't think too much about others. So that is what is meant with the lesser path.
这是啦，就是说，人家名那写了，结果人那这人家没懂嘛，你结果人那这讲让巧嘛那种的吧，那让他嘛那是吧，他强你的强调性就开情况强的了，开始真的，让说3、20年来起了，这强你的强调性现在钱，这两年来起过了，这样就这另一个情况是的强调性是这个情况建议是吧？
And then Saraha had said that an emptiness, an emptiness, that an understanding of emptiness that is only rooted in wisdom without compassion will not lead to enlightenment. It's not the true path. So especially also in the Vajrayana path, love and compassion are really essential. Love and compassion and bodhicitta really are kind of the basis of the Vajrayana.
这其他是针对其他人的其他之类咱生活可能相当挺久了。写了多么的那老麻将呢，仅仅可以很难全完意思。我那写了多半的这样多的是麻将呢，仅仅可完了他图嘛的，他这个他把他图嘛的是，他可以从这边嘛说说的，他们这些我写了多半的，我听那真的，可能早晚出来他多半的，我说的是，我真的。描述听了千万能别人是吧？千万能别人很重要是呢，强说뭐 당연히 예바신도 사실 오면强把인계라 소다 되게强说뭐 당연히 뭔가 말해봐 개발요 말했어. 근데 내가 정말 사표 듣고 말했어. 동반이 당연히 공부하면 동의 있고 동반이다 말해봐 개다 차리고 스탠드 그걸 왜 잡아 동반이 쇼쇼래서 한 참 이제 자주 생각해서 뭐야 가르쳤나? 제 가르쳤나? 다 되게说东亚汽车也是公办的嘛，在东里中的话，现在就我在这个说的。
Then verse number 7, when you don't train your mind in emptiness, the wisdom aspect, whatever you do, can stray into the ways of samsara. So if then also we need wisdom. If we only have compassion but no wisdom that realizes emptiness, one will again stray into samsara. So if you just have the skillful means, that alone also will not lead to full liberation. You also need wisdom. You need the union of method and wisdom to cut the root of samsara. In the the Pramana Vartika, the valid cognition text, it says, even love and compassion, if joined with ignorance, cannot fully cut the roots of afflictive emotions. So without the understanding of emptiness, even great compassion still cannot cut through the roots of samsara. So yes, we do need love, compassion. We need bodhicitta, but alone it is still not enough. We also, in order to truly realize emptiness, we also need wisdom.
我真的就是让人能说了，是他写了名，他跑到情感，左边长春头发没有，他当电视，可说嘛头发写了我嘛就是让人意思。我他写了名，他跑到情感，那我就不被上街头嘛的是，我这没有人说不上街头嘛的是，他跑到情感那趟，他写了可说嘛头发这些情况的也是，我这没写了这光嘛，这就是让人意思，中国这没，他当年民间人不见，那么多半年人间有啊，人不见。那蛮多人让他把这里是，我这真的是发现他就行了，是吧
So, and what is it? 1 second. Yeah, in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, if one lacks wisdom, it is impossible to attain perfect enlightenment through the other 5 perfections. Therefore, cultivating wisdom along with skillful means is the practice of a bodhisattva. And so that means even if you have the 5 paramitas, the first 5 paramitas are the paramitas of skillful means. If you have those 5, but not the 6th, wisdom, the 5 alone cannot lead to full enlightenment. We need wisdom to attain enlightenment. And also it is that we need to cultivate emptiness that has compassion at its core, and that is the unmistaken path. Then we stop the teachings here.
真的，他对他，苏是偏见上是基础上嘛的， ဒီတွေ့ထားဒီမှာလာမှာဆိုဒီဆက်ကလည်းဒီချိန်ကိုဆိုတော့ကျိုးခေါင်းကြီးရောပါ ဒီတွေ့ထားဒီမှာဆောင်းတော့ဆိုနေဘောဆိုတော့ဒီပေါ့ဒီရောစာပါဆောင်တော့စာပါဆောင်ရတယ်မဟုတ်လားအဲ့ဒါ你对他那有啥嘛？你对他那有啥嘛？你对他提前嘛？是这样说，去过是吧？
Tunto sum me pa mare.
对，他这说对，他如果是在对他这如果是在这个地方人家都会去想这啥说，我可我可哪了？是可哪了？可是之前是东尼有嘛了？
Zoom'da kagar var.
Evet.
Yine Zoom karanlığı çısa çıkmadı.
마지막 내 토가 했던 시잖아.
그리고 저 어디 중기 아리바가 데일라 베주 집에 와.
어떤
우리 미가 같이 두고
나를他对照总是推荐用啥嘛？真的，对照总是在开始传播在那个采访的之前就我出个话，然后呢，这个一些个说那个最刚才的那种那啦，那东西可马上多，下巴上了吧？
Hon på ishe.
这个一些个吧，下巴上已经拿得起，我这去什么都推荐的，老三就来三，你看我工作出来想拿出来过。 这而且他对照总是用上嘛的，用它提前那个这个是。
Also, so we won't have teachings for the next 3 weeks because next week we start our Sakadawa teachings, and then the following week we have Kempo Yeshe here, and so we're using the same Zoom count for those teachings. And then after that, next week we have the Jigong Menlam in Los Angeles. So after all of that, then we will continue. So apologies for that.
我真的他这边从我这里给信息。
The dedication. Ma trupen nga tanda tona jigere kain sana nga shemba giger chigo guduk.
Yeah, no.
So can somebody else read it because I have to go translate someone else.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye bye. Yeah, sapasan cheong. See you next Friday. Okay, bye.
얘들아.
네, 뭐.
Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of Vedams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heroes and heroines, yoginis and assembly of Daikinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this best root of virtue, may I benefit all sentient beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise within my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be marshaled by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhisattva, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May even at death, may the torment of suffering not arise. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such, and in the pervasive clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo.
Yeah, okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
See you.
See you, Lama.
Yeah, see you.
Buenas noches, Lama. Buenas noches.
Ah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.